food, sex, and death.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Food, Sex, and Death. As always, I'm Colin Bohannon, along with my co-host, nationally performing burlesque dancer, Lefty Lucy.
Da-da-da-da-da.
The Pooch.
Ooh, yeah.
And the biggest piece of shit that I know, Michael Polino.
Morning, dipshits.
Honestly, Morning Dipshits is the greatest thing that he said as an intro. It usually goes, "You got change for a nickel," which like makes you feel like
My favorite throwaway line in the history of cinema.
Someone touching you? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's super gross. But today we're as always we're recording live here from the French Quarter, New Orleans, Louisiana, and we got some shit to say from a bunch of fucking idiots. So we're gonna start with
Easy on the idiot.
I heard you went on your first internet date, Colin.
Okay, I was trying to
Ooh, yeah.
I was trying to toss this to someone else, but
Colin
Yeah.
tossed a
Kitty
salad.
Cat 49
This is
sitting
live.
in a tree.
Tossing a salad
I mean,
on
were
the
you
internet
just talking
date?
about having never been on an internet date? So this is a pretty satisfying, immediate
okay,
follow
here's
up.
the thing,
Yeah.
right? I get it if you're a fucking adult that does stuff and has like a career where like
You
for
mean like
example,
lawyers
when you're
and
like,
real
Like,
estate
here's an
agents?
effective way to meet a potential mate, is what you're saying.
shut all your gosh darn faces, right? Internet dating, like I get it, right? Like my sister, for example, like she is a gorgeous 37-year-old woman who she's a guidance counselor and she's been a teacher for years, and she like does positive things for the world and like runs marathons and whatever. And you know what? She is now engaged, and she's getting married in January to a fucking awesome dude. He's like really, really a great fucking guy, right? Here's the thing.
Right, we all feel bad about ourselves now, thank you.
They met on the internet, right? And
Yep.
good for them. However, here's the thing. That's not me. You know why? Because I tell dick jokes in dive bars or comedy clubs or wherever the fuck I am in front of hundreds of people every fucking week. And when I'm not doing that, I'm standing behind a fucking bar, right? And so I interact with so many people all the time.
Well, also,
And-
you don't translate to like, your sister sounds great on paper and is great in real life. People like us, our charm doesn't translate into like, let me bullet point this for you. I'm your kind of person. Like, no one's like, you know what? I need somebody who's also grew up with like a history of verbal abuse and is kind of broken, also looking for a girl with model daddy issues. You know what I mean? Like, you can't.
And then the issues I have is to internet date means like I have to meet someone and either like be super upfront about being a burlesque performer, and then they're either into me for entirely the wrong reasons,
Yeah.
or not be as upfront about that, and then they find out about it and now it's like a thing. Or I meet people in real life as a burlesque performer, and again they're into me for the entirely wrong reasons, for this vision of someone they think I am. Like I guess what I'm getting at is there's just no solution for me dating.
But Boo Boo, it's not just you, and it's not just like burlesque, and this is what I'm getting at, right? Like, so the thing is that like I basically live in bars or clubs or fucking whatever. Either I'm bartending or I'm fucking performing, right? And if I'm not, I'm hanging out or whatever. Like, if I'm not working, I sit the fuck home with my dog. Like, that's it, right? Here's the thing. I've never like gone on an internet date. I've never been on fucking OkCupid or Tinder or any of that stuff, because like if I'm not out in public, I don't want to fucking talk to people. But when I am out in public, I have the ability to be like, hey, how you doing? My name's Colin. No?
I really like your shoes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're not. You think I'm weird? Cool. Have a wonderful evening. God save the Queen, right? No big deal. So I've never been on an internet date before. It works for some people. For me, it never has like been a thing that I had any desire to try, right? But fine. I sign up for a fucking Tinder. I sign up my Tinder profile, right? I match with this girl, super cute. We end up messaging and then chatting, and we actually talked on the phone for like almost 2 hours.
That's
and
really
I gotta tell you, here's the thing: I haven't
like this story.
spoken
do
to
too.
anybody on the phone for 2 hours. Like, if you add up all the time that I've been on the phone in the last year, it has not been 2 hours, right? So we have this great fucking conversation, whatever, right? Then we meet and you know, we go have a drink, and she's like, oh my God, this guy is like yelling at me on Facebook, and then he's just like, and then he like blocked me on Instagram. And I was like, wow, I can't even like process
Begin
this.
to relate, yeah.
And she was like, what?
Who
You're
was
not
yelling at her?
She's telling me all this.
Some dude on Facebook
Yeah.
yelled at her and then blocked her on Instagram, and
Yeah.
she was taking it personally.
and she's like,
Her boyfriend?
no,
Some dude.
just some dude.
just some dude.
And I'm like,
She's sensitive.
I am wildly,
online.
I am wildly disinterested in this whole situation. And turns out, I told my face also, because she saw that shit and was like, what? Like, you're not on social media? And I was like, yeah, I use it to promote shows or like, or
Message
book shows. Like, that's really it.
And message friends.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. When my phone gets shut off every other month.
You know, I think that like
Or
later,
broken every other week. Or
this
lost every
generation
15
is the
minutes.
first generation to deal with this kind of shit. But like, I'm pretty sure when you take Psychology 101 in fucking 20 years, they're gonna have this mini megalomaniac thing, which is something that we have witnessed now on the internet, where like people have these thousands of followers and they're fucking morons and
Yeah.
like. They're megalomaniacs, but they're fucking stupid as shit and just spreading misinformation, and it's insane. You know, like I forget who was saying that like our it's like our country is run by a bunch of like bad actors' opinions on things, but that's the fucking reality.
Yeah.
You know, like
We were talking about I'm pretty sure it's Stanhope. We were talking about Stanhope earlier before we started this podcast, and he's like, he has this joke where he's like, can you imagine if your fucking father died, right? And you were cleaning out his garage, and you saw that he had 10,000 fucking pictures of himself. You know what I mean? Like that's a whatever. But anyway, the point is that so I meet this girl. It's not going well from the jump, right? Because
How'd it go so well when you were on the phone then, though? That's weird.
you know why it went so well on the phone? Because she was on fucking Family Feud.
So she led with her one interesting story, then in real life she's boring as
yeah,
fuck.
why
What
did
are
she
you
bring this up on a fucking phone call from a website? That's weird.
I don't know, but
I was on Cash Cab one time.
into it. Here's the point.
If
Right?
you're on Family Feud, you find a way to bring it up.
So okay,
I would. I can't believe my cousins don't all the time.
So
wouldn't.
for you know, anybody listening who's never seen me in real life or perform, my hand's fucked up, right? I got 4 fingers and like a bunch of surgeries on my arm, whatever, right?
Here's the thing also about Colin. The amount of women who've come up to me like who are like drunk and like know that we're best friends are like, hey, is it weird if I just really want to know what you can do with that hand? And I'm like, yeah, super weird. It's only weird because you're asking me. You know?
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a fetish, so right, yeah,
Yeah,
isn't it?
whatever.
Of some sort.
Yes, it totally is.
That's rad.
I have been approached by women like, you want to, you ever fist anybody with that hand?
Oh my
And I'm
god!
like, no, but like,
Not the last 5 hours, but let's do it, honey. I got a hand sanitizer little wipe on me from KFC. Let's do this.
so I'm on fucking Tinder, right? I got my 4 fucking pictures. The first one is me holding a microphone with my fucking right hand.
Well, she was lost in those
Yeah,
steely
there's
blue
lots
eyes.
of pictures of your hand on your internet.
Right.
All over
and
it.
on your grinder too.
Right.
Hey, yo.
Yes. So we go back to my place. We're hanging out. And she's like, hey, I really think that you should reevaluate how you present yourself online. And I was like, I've never
shit.
presented myself online before. What do you mean? And she was like, listen, I thought it was really classy that at the end of our conversation, you were like, hey, by the way, I've got sisters and female friends. My name is Colin Bohannon. If you want to fucking check me out online or whatever the fuck, like, that's who I am, just so you know. She was like, I thought that was really classy. But you also said that you have 4 fingers. And honestly, I feel like you should have been more descriptive about it. And I was like, well, what would you have rather had me say? And she was like, well, what is it? And I was like, oh, well, I was born without blah, 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 blah. And she was like, yeah, that's what should be on your online profile. And I was
That's
like,
absurd.
Really? Because that's not...
Fuck her.
That's absurd.
So we are like making out on my couch, like shirts are off, whatever. And then she says this, and I was like, yo, my pictures say that. And I told you that
To look me up.
to look me up. And you told me that you checked
like,
out my
Google
clips.
me before I Google you. You know what I'm
And
saying?
you saw my fucking hand. And she was like, yeah, but it was like misleading. And I was like,
How?
and I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
cool. So we get into an argument, and by we get into an argument, I really mean I stand up, and I was just like, are you fucking serious? And she was just like, well, I mean, it's not a big deal. You should just like, come back here. And I was like,
If it wasn't a big deal, you wouldn't have brought it
Nah.
up, you vapid fuck.
no, like, I'm cool with this, and this is why I've never been on an internet date. Because you know why? I have the fucking social fucking capacity to walk up to somebody and be like, hi, how are you? My name's Colin.
He's
And-
putting his hand out as if to shake it. He's being very
Yeah.
forthright about the hand is his whole point. Radio
Oh, he
audience
does. One of
who
my
can't
favorite things
see
about
him.
Colin is whenever somebody's like being visibly weird about his hand, is he'll fucking shake their hand like a bunch of times, and it's I love you so
Or
much
no,
because of that, man.
I will fucking like how many times have you been like, yo, hey, blah, 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 especially when there were a bunch of bands playing at the joint in Chicago. You'd be like, oh yeah, it's my boy Colin. And like they'd see me or whatever, and they'd put out their left hand and
Yeah.
shake my hand, and I will stand
Yeah.
there with my right hand out, and it's like, yo, if you're weirded out by my hand, say that, and I'll
Yeah.
be like, cool, I appreciate you saying that, but I'm not gonna. I'm fucking 34 years old, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm not shaking your hand with my left hand. Like, that's not a thing that I'm gonna do. I'd rather have you be like, hey, I'm weirded out by that, and I'd be like, word, cool.
Or just be like, hey, I don't mean to be weird, but I don't know what the protocol is. Like, does that hand pain you if I shake it? You know what I mean? Or some shit like that. Because I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, fuck, I've never encountered a hand like that. I don't know how to do this. Rather than take the guess, be like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to...
No, I actually like. I haven't done this joke in years, but it's a thing that happens all the time where it's like, you know, oh, you're from fucking Wisconsin, you know, Bill. But like that was an actual conversation that I had, and someone asked me if I knew a professional wrestler. And I was like, why would we know each other? And she was like, oh, you're both in entertainment and you're both handicapped. I just thought you guys would know each other. And obviously we didn't, but that, you know, like that's
Do you
a
remember
thing.
that time, Colin, when you and I got really drunk behind the bar and did the Blood Brothers things and sliced our hand open and then had some sort of sexual misadventure? And then the next day I got a text and you were like, man, like, fuck you. I got all riled up or whatever yesterday, and then I couldn't even jerk off when I got home because my hand was bleeding. And like me and Chad are behind the bar, like reading this, and we're both like, why didn't he just switch? Oh. Got it.
This is the first time you'd brought your hand up in an intimate situation, and I have a number of very talented public people who, one, I wanted to promote Black Scorpion because I fucking love him, and then I use that as a segue to mention Matt because Matt and Julie have such an incredible and public sex life. I actually just wanted to talk about like the sex positivity that I've seen in their shows that they've done at BAM in Brooklyn in front of like massive audiences.
Let me tell you guys a story about BAM. The Brooklyn Academy of Music.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like the
sound that Batman makes when he punches
that's
the
exactly
Joker in the
what
face.
I was trying to describe.
Yeah, bam.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
Kaboom!
the George Michael band.
By the way, if you get the
wham.
opportunity to watch
Wham.
the original Batman series
It's really fun.
with the
Whammo.
commentary, it is some mind-blowing
I bet that's
comedy
amazing.
shit that is
There's
going on there.
commentary?
Oh my God, he and fucking homeboy Robin, Dick Grayson, or whatever the fuck, they do just commentary throughout the whole thing, and it's like you will piss yourself laughing because it's amazing. Please
What's
do
his
it,
name?
everybody. Adam West
Yes,
Yeah.
dude, and also
and Burt Ward.
I think the best commentary I ever heard was in Vampire's Kiss, the Nicolas Cage movie.
Oh God,
Super
that's a great
funny.
movie.
So I also had
Underrated movie.
Get my Nicolas
Okay,
Cage.
so
drop
anyhow,
on the
I got to tell
podcast
my
this
BAM
week.
story. My BAM story is good. So we played BAM at the Black Rock Coalition show.
Okay, for those who don't know what BAM is, it's a beautiful theater space in
It's
Brooklyn.
delightful.
It's
Yeah,
huge,
it's
it's
great.
gorgeous, it's magnificent, and
It's
they put
fucking
on
fly
a
as
lot of
fuck.
alternative arts, which is incredible for the amount of beauty that the space is presenting.
Okay, so I'm in Brooklyn. I'm in a band. We were playing for like 7 years, and my homie calls me up on the phone. He goes, "Yo, I just drove by BAM, son. You're on the marquee." Yeah. And I'm like, "What? Seriously?" He's like, "Yeah, dude, I just saw you on there." And I'm like, "Bullshit." I literally ran. This is like 8 or 9 blocks. Anyhow, my drummer at the time, we called him Picture Face because every time we took band photos, he had these like Latigra, kind of Magnum, kind of like looks and shit. And he always had the nicest clothes because he had, a nice job and whatever. He was a
fuck
good
that
guy.
dude. I hate him.
No, I love him. He was great. He was a great drummer or whatever. We called him Picture Face.
Still hate him.
And I got to the marquee, and they cut the entire band out except for Picture Face. And they said my band's name was playing there at that certain time, and I was like, oh, like it's just like sweaty and fucked up, and like walked my man titties on home.
It's just like a metaphor for life right there, man. You know?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, guess what? You got it, son. No, not really.
You guys ever had an Italian beef sandwich before?
No.
Hey, you
It's the
guys
best
ever?
sandwich
Be
in the
more
world.
specific.
Why?
Okay, the Italian beef sandwich is the most overrated sandwich
You
in the
shut
fucking
your
world.
dirty fucking mouth.
You know what Italian beef sandwich is? It's a fucking Philly cheesesteak
No,
if you subtract all the good things from a Philly cheesesteak.
you have an unrefined fucking palate, my
The
friend.
only good things about a Philly cheesesteak are eating them in Philly.
I've never been to Philly. I mean, I've had like one good Philly cheesesteak, and it was at a place that flew their shit in from Philly in Chicago called Monty's. Super dope spot. Anyway,
Monty's.
Italian beef sandwich, fucking way better sandwich than a Philly cheesesteak or any fucking po' boy on the motherfucking planet. Okay, the thing
Po'
is,
boys are garbage.
it's a slow cooked,
Po' boys are
like
not
garlic
garbage,
stuff.
they're
Like
carbs.
it's basically like roast beef, but like Italian seasonings and shit. You got to cook it the right way, and it's got to have a certain kind of bread and the au jus, and then like either. Oh my god, don't roll your fucking. Anyways,
it's
my-
pronounced
whatever.
au jus.
Oh my god.
How
Anyways, my favorite
embarrassing for
sandwich in
you.
the fucking world, and you can only get it in Chicago, right? And it's my favorite thing. For a while I moved across the street from my favorite beef sandwich place, and I went there every day. When they closed, I lost 15 pounds in a month from doing nothing. This is how much I love this sandwich, regardless of how you feel about it, right? I had a friend fly in from Chicago on Saturday on a late flight, and she got me a beef sandwich from the fucking airport and brought it directly to my work. And like, I almost fucking cried. Like, is there any food that you love
First
that
of all,
much?
who?
My friend.
I know everyone that you know.
Stop yelling, please. Just a friend. I don't know, somebody I know, nobody you know. Somebody I met here who we had like mutual pals back in Chicago.
Oh.
Blah, blah, blah. And like now we're like pals, you know.
Skibbity-bot-do.
I feel like let's talk about sex for a minute, if that's okay.
This is the first time we've
Which is
ever
funny.
spoken about food, and like you're like, no, let's get back to the only thing that we've ever spoken
What's funny
about.
is like I had a huge erection about this sandwich, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Good.
Blackout sex?
Oof. God.
Is there any other
You know, I
kind?
guess so. Like, if we want to talk about blackout sex,
I have a
What's
lot
sober
of feelings
sex
about
like?
this right now.
You're in
Yeah.
a relationship,
I mean, it was
Polino.
me. So, like, I mean,
What?
I was
This
the
is
one who
really
was blacked
interesting.
out.
My friend and
That
I were
doesn't
literally
count.
just talking about blackout sex.
No, I mean, like, I would never-
And the concept of consent. And
Yeah.
when,
You know,
like,
I'm glad that I have some witnesses right now because we're in my apartment and I have my bed, which is a dope queen bed, and then I have
Queen in general.
the Batman bed. It's called the Batman bed.
I just noticed that now. I've been coming to your house every week for how many fucking
You
weeks
It's
didn't
now?
the
notice the
Bat cave.
Batman
I've always
bed?
noticed the Batman bed, but I didn't realize there was two
So,
beds, and you live here by yourself.
there
Is that
are-
like is one for the fucking, one for the napping?
There are-
Like,
no, one's for the consent and one's for the fun.
When there was a show across the street at the Jazz Museum / US Mint, and it shakes this whole apartment. So I just put my head right there by the air conditioner, and I close these doors, and we're good to go. The other is when I take a girl home, and she's super fucked up, and I'm like, this is not good.
Vampire rules can't apply.
I was
I
gonna
just
say,
keep-
like, this is the most vampire rules thing I've ever heard, and I love you so much
I
right
keep
now.
passing them weed until they just pass out here in the Queen, and then I go and I personally sleep in the Batman bed, and sometimes they are weird in the morning, and sometimes they're not. Hopefully,
Fucking love you,
I
man.
leave them a little note. It was like, just toss a key under the door, and we're good to go. Whatever. Anyhow,
I like that you leave them a note,
sometimes,
but they have
yeah.
to walk past your fucking
Your slumbering
sleeping
corpse.
ass.
I was gonna
fucking-
suggest
like, you
hanging
leave them a
a
note
curtain.
as though you're not there, but
putting up a
you're just
screen.
sleeping in the other bed.
Yeah, but this is like chicks that I bring home that are like super about having sex, and then all of a sudden they start crying, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" And they start talking about some shit that has nothing to do with anything.
I just get him to
I was
pass
like,
out,
okay,
and
well,
then I
just-
sleep like in a literal vampire pose in
Yeah.
all of my clothes in my own bed above
I
the covers.
can't.
You know,
I don't even want
So-
to tempt myself, so that's why the Batman bed is there.
My
you know?
so
love it.
it's good
I
that
love
you
it.
do that
It's
because my
beautiful.
friend and I were talking about blackout sex because I've had a conversation with a woman before who a partner who she'd had sex with before. They had sex when she was blacked out, and the next day she was like, "Oh shit, I was blacked out last night," and he freaked out, and like it was really cool that he freaked out because he was like, "You were blacked out, you don't know what happened," da da da. But she was like, "It's not you," and I appreciate your concern. And then I was just talking right before coming here to a male friend who recently fooled around with someone and then later found out they blacked out, and he had the same like freaked out reaction again. She was like it's not you, but it's still that thing where it's like that in both instances the woman didn't seem blacked out at all, and I know that when I've blacked out in the past I don't seem blacked out at all. And I'm lucky that I've always been with people who I trust a lot when it's happened, and I've been like safe. But it's also one of the reasons why I don't really drink that much. And when I do drink, I know like what I'm doing, and I eat food, and I carry snacks, and I have bottles of water. Like
you are the snack queen of
I-
New
like,
Orleans.
I'm the snack queen of New Orleans, so that I don't end up fucked up because I don't enjoy blacking out, and I don't enjoy being hungover.
If you're like with someone or you have been like hooking up with and or dating someone, it's a different scenario where it's like, oh, we were fucked up and had sex versus like, what the fuck just happened, right? Like that's a different thing.
Well, and along those lines, remember the story you told a couple weeks ago about the naked woman running into your bar or running into the bar across the street from the chef's apartment upstairs?
Yeah.
There's a lot of like questions about the like that like.
Oh, by the way,
like, she-
that is on NOLA.com,
Yeah,
by
that's
the
on
way.
NOLA.com. Like she blacked out and like basically came to.
That mother sucker
Literally got ran out of
fucking
town, right? Like-
Yeah.
appeared.
Yeah, but like came to while they were fucking, and it's like this like. It's a very layered.
Like, especially as we're all bartenders.
Yeah.
Part of the
Like
job.
I know, Lefty, like you
the safety
have
of your
only
clientele
started
is part of your
bartending in the
Totally
last
part of your
like
job.
year.
Yeah, I'm
but
new.
you're also like very, you've been through shit like that before, whatever. You're very like aware of that, but you haven't. Like I've been behind the stick for like fucking 16, 17 years. Polino is more than that. Pooch is about that.
There's also something that happens when you're behind a bar that like your capacity changes. Like the amount of bourbon I could drink when I'm bartending and how it would affect me is very different than the amount of bourbon I drink in general.
Whether you're like when you're behind the stick, like oh, the fucking sober dude is pumping this girl full of
Yeah.
fucking booze. that you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Yeah, that's shady. Yeah.
Oh wait, by the way, not to cut you off, but how we started the fucking this episode,
Which is funny because I was a third person in some of my Blackout stories. But hey,
yo, this fucking chick that I went on my one and only fucking internet date with was like, yeah, and then it was like he was like talking in second person, and I was like, oh, that's not a thing.
No, that is, but it's really hard to
No,
do
no,
and
no.
identify.
Right. I was like, you can't have a conversation in second person, and she was
what
like,
does that even mean?
and she was like, no, it's like
I don't know what the fuck that means.
It's like I am first person, you are second person, they are third person. And I was like, that is absolutely inaccurate. And she was like, I'm a COO. And I was like, word.
Look, I've only fucked a couple of English teachers, and I know that's not true.
Second person is somebody talking about
I'd also
what
just,
is happening.
COO of what?
Yo, one of Polino and I's really close buddies is like literally got his GED, got a job that's like wildly like
Important.
yeah
Good.
no yeah it's like
Good.
super important.
Good.
And
High school is a waste of your fucking cheese, son.
and he,
Fuck
like-
that.
and he was just like, yeah, I mean, and he talked his way into this, and he had no idea what the fuck they were talking about, and he just like figured it out.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
and
awesome.
second
Good.
person, you guys, is like if you're reading a story and it's like, you come home after a hard day of work, you put the key
Yeah.
in the door and it doesn't seem to be working, but it
That's what I
doesn't
was-
bother you. You're thinking about, and it's like, it's all about.
That's what I- yeah,
and
that's-
it's like,
that's
if,
what I was
if
trying to
someone
say.
was having a conversation
So
with you
basically
like
only
that,
used
that
in
would be
advertising, right?
really fucking weird. And like fiction.
Yeah, no, actually,
Like it's a narrative
advertising.
device. It's a really solid narrative device. But
'Cause of your
wait,
ter-
no,
'cause of your-
looping back again, since we started
'cause of
looping
your
back to
face.
the first story, let's loop back to the blackout sex.
Oh, God.
Polino.
I think it's gonna be anticlimactic, but like I have like a girlfriend now, and we're like figuring each other out because it's like a
Relationship.
yeah, it's like a newish relationship, and we're figuring stuff out. And
By newish relationship, he means they've
Is it-
lived
alright.
together since the day they met. But okay.
yeah, no, we've like hung out every day since we met.
Symbiotic,
It's like it got
if you will.
super
That's how some people
heavy,
do it.
super fast, and whatever, and it's great, and I'm into it. But we're still figuring stuff out. Like we skip some steps, so there's some like figuring stuff out, and I try really hard to verbalize things. Like I'd rather just like I've been in enough relationships and fucked enough relationships up myself, where I'm like, we should just talk about everything all the time. And if you're not a person who's done that before, like it can be a little bit jarring. I feel like where you're like, no, I'm not criticizing anything. I'm just like, we should just talk about it like adults, whatever.
Is it?
But, like,
weird?
there's some stuff
Is it
like-
That's your first
is it,
mistake.
Is it?
What?
Is it?
Adults.
Is it weird because she isn't?
I'm gonna
an
fight
adult?
you. What?
I don't know.
She's totally legal.
Yeah,
What are you talking
Yeah.
about? Jesus.
Fucking Lefty
She's
and I
not
were-
16. She's
We were making the
23.
same joke.
Thank you.
She-
24.
24. See?
Oh, we're all just
Yeah,
giving
she's not
them
going to
shit.
start getting tired of Polino's shit for like another year and a half.
Probably 3 years because they all dump me when they're 27.
fairness,
Since I
good
was
for him.
27, like
Fuck
that's
that.
the age
Yeah,
of like
go
I'm
get
sick
him.
of Polino shit.
Polino is that poster that every fucking stoner in college have, like the 27 Club, whatever, with all the fucking musicians that died at 27, except it's just 9 women fucking blowing his brains out, and they're all 27.
Oh god, it's not wrong. Anyway, so we're talking about stuff, and like sex stuff, We're like, I'm like, hey, this would be better if it was this way. She's like, hey, I don't like this. I'm like, all right, fair enough. And we went out, got in like a mild argument, got super drunk, made up, whatever. And I guess we went home and had like some like crazy sex. I don't remember a fucking thing about it because the next day she's like, so last night that was pretty fun, huh? I'm like, excuse me, what?
Oh, Michael.
and I'm not mad about it because
Michael,
there's like
but is she?
no, not at all. Like she's like, really don't remember that? She's like, I feel like I made such an effort because we were both like loosey goosey and drunk, and I'm like, yeah, I guess we did, but I really wish I was there. It sounds like a lot of fun, you know? Like it's also I'm like, that sounds like the best night, and I wasn't even there for it. Fuck you, drunk Mike. You have all the fun times.
I know. Polito's old lady very well. She's just a fucking delightful individual. To be honest with you, I have nothing bad to say about her.
Yeah, I've met her too. She's lovely.
Right?
I just like giving Polito a hard time.
She also doesn't drink like fucking Polino does,
Nobody
right?
does, except for you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Does
Not much of
Polino
a-
drink like I smoke?
From Bohannon.
No. So here's the thing, though. She's the delightful fucking lady, right? But here's the thing. Like, Polino can fucking, like, drink.
3 bottles of Malort.
Polino's a
16
bartender.
hours.
He owned a
metabolize
bar.
it.
It's not even like Polino's a bartender. Polino can fucking outdrink people to the point where, like, these people are fucked up, and he is black the fuck out, but also will look you in the eye and be like, hey, how you doing? My name is Michael Polino. Nice to fucking meet you.
Charles Bukowski has tapped out.
Right?
Yeah,
Drinking
no, I
with
mean, like
Polino.
I had one
Back in
friend
the
who's
Like he might not remember it, but he will
won't.
get that shit together, right?
Andre the Giant has tapped the fuck out drinking with Polino.
Yeah, exactly.
In the fucking 80s.
Yeah, dude.
What?
Wade Boggs fucking tapped out, right?
Yikes.
His
Yeah.
old lady
like
is
you were
a
there that night, weren't you?
fucking awesome broad, but she also is not a fucking drinker, right? So they go out and it's like, oh, we're gonna get fucked up and make up and do some weird shit when we get home, right? Except her version of getting fucked up is very different than his version of getting fucked up. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, so you guys ever find
Yes.
yourself in a situation where like I'm old enough and mature enough and less of a lunatic enough now, mature enough, thank you, to where like I don't give a fuck about anybody's sexual history at all, right? I only kind of want to kill people's exes because I'm like, were they that terrible at sex that like you just expect it to be terrible? You know, like, fuck, man. You know what I mean? It's like communication shit. I'm like, you just don't do this? You've never, like, how is that fucking possible?
Bless you.
I don't know. Dudes are the worst. I mean, I'm terrible, but like, there's even worse than me, and that's horrifying.
Food, sex,